everyone, thank you for joining me today. I would like to discuss with my viewers the topic of feminism. Feminism is known to have three waves that are circled across from the 1830s being the first wave to the early 1900s. This wave included women who vigorously and courageously fought for contract and property rights, and of course the suffrage movement who fought for the right for women to vote. My birthplace, New Zealand, in 1893 was the first country that allowed women to vote, and that was magnificent in itself. The second wave of feminism was in the 1960s to the 1980s. After the awful experiences of World War II, women began to raise up to fight for equal rights in the workplace, also with family and reproductive rights, introducing the pill and the allowance for women to utilise the pill, and also for equal rights sexually. Now, these two movements were brilliant, credible, wonderful movements that brought women far, far in society, in leadership, in politics, in social arenas, in the workplace. And they were admirable, to say the least. They were worthy causes to fight for and to stand up to. And as a woman, I'm very proud that the women of yesteryear fought for me and others for what we have today. And as women, we are very blessed to be able to enjoy the fruits of their labours. The third wave of feminism started around the late 1990s to what we have today. Now, for me, I hold no credence nor credibility to this current wave of feminism. In fact, in my personal opinion, as a woman, I find it absolutely outrageous, totally contradictory to what the women of yesteryear fought for, feeble in their fight for what they are labelling feminism, which I believe is far from what our women in the suffrage movements, in the workplace, sexuality, family and reproductive movements endeavoured to bring to the forefront and to have action placed upon. Today we see feminists who are roaming the streets with vagina hats, who are declaring gender, transgender, gender identity politics as something to be proud of. This is really quite contrary to any feminist movement. In fact, it is division. What women of yesteryear wanted to do for women of their time and today was to bring equality, was to bring together the sexes. It wasn't to divide. Today's feminism is based, I believe, on dividing people politically, socially, culturally, and it's an egotistical movement that has no credibility whatsoever. It is nothing to be proud of. It is a fight against such sensitivities. It's a fight against being offended. It's a fight against raising awareness of such matters that today the suffragists would be absolutely turning in their grave about. Now, we want topics and issues that have credit, that have sustainability, that have strength to forward women even further. Today's feminists loathe men. Today's young feminists are male-bashing feminists. Today's feminists require safe spaces to be able to recollect themselves and recollect their thoughts because they're offended by this, offended by that. This is outrageous. The feminists of yesterday were in the forefront. They weren't afraid. They weren't afraid to be offended. They weren't men bashers. They knew the rightful standing of men in society. They were aware of that. They didn't want to demolish it. They didn't want to discredit it. And they surely didn't need safe spaces and safe corners to recollect themselves. They were brave, courageous women that fought for issues that were valid, that fought for issues that had the right to fight for. I mean, truly, what society are we living in if everything that we look to offends us? These women are coupling with Sharia loving, advocating women, especially in the United States, which is an absolute oxymoron. It's absurd. Here we have women who are standing by Sharia-loving women, for example, Linda Sarsour, who is one of the most deceptive, oppressive woman. Yes, she plays the role really well of standing by feminists, but she, in her inner being, through her advocation of Sharia law, is not for women at all. Where are the women of today standing for the women in Saudi Arabia? Where are the women, the feminists of today, standing for the rights of the women in Iran, in Afghanistan? Where are the women of today who are standing for these women that are being mutilated through Islamic female genital circumcision, through Islamic oppression of women who cannot own property, who have no rights over their children, who cannot have a say or a vote? How are these feminists fighting for those amazing causes that need to be fought for? Please tell me, how are they fighting for them? These women and feminists of today are weak-willed. I am ashamed of them, ashamed to the core of my being. I am a woman and I love being a woman, and I do not stand with feminists today at all. I stand with the feminists of Saudi Arabia, of Iran, of Afghanistan, of Pakistan, who are suffering in oppression, who are suffering like prisoners, who cannot speak, who have not the right to speak, to raise their voices, who are covered in blackest of darkness of such oppression. And these despicable feminists of today stand with their vagina hats, stand with their gender identity politics, stand with issues today that are, for me as a woman, totally humiliating. They are not feminists of yesterday. They are not feminists that stood for real matters, real issues. They are feminists that have no right to uphold that name. They should be entirely discredited, and the world and the left media raise them up on pedestals. How dare you? How dare you? While you turn your back to the women of the Middle East and the East that are suffering, that are fighting for freedom, that are fighting to have a voice, that are going to prison just for taking their hijabs off. Really, people? Really? I mean, you feminists of today, you need to grow up. You need to take off your blindfolds and you need to really hone in on real issues, as our feminists of yesteryear did. with pride, with great objective, with the determination and the passion to bring women forward, to bring them in their rightful place, equal to men, not to be bashing men. We are equal to men. We are not threatened by men. Allow men to be men in our society today. We are equal with different dynamics. We should embrace each other equally, lovingly, and without division. I am a woman who honours men, who desires to have men in their rightful place, as women in their rightful place, together, equally, standing side by side with the different dynamics, yet equal in our social, political, environmental standing. We are equal. I don't require to bring men down, to dehumanize and demonize them. I want them to raise up with us women and to face this world and its problems and its beauties, inequality. I am a confident, brave, courageous woman that knows my worth, that knows my value. I need not to shun men to bring forth my objectives, my value, my worth, and my ability to be a leader as a woman in this world, in all spectres and in all realms of society. So for you feminists today who think that you have something to rally upon, to protest on, you do not represent me. And I say that with a big smile on my face. You don't represent me. I will stand with the women that are oppressed, that are imprisoned in their own homes, in their own countries. That is what I will stand for. That is what I would advocate, and that is what I'll raise my voice and my awareness to.